Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Saratoga Racecourse here on Saturday. It is the 13th of July, 2024. I'm going to look at all the stakes races on the program from the spot here on the first Saturday of the meeting. But before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 for more selections for race courses around the world. Also join me today for my July Cup preview from Newmarket. Also in France, it's Bastille Day, so you have the Grand Prix de Paris from Longchamp, an excellent 3-year-old race over the mile and a half. So check out that preview. And also on the harness side, you have the Meadowlands Pace. So in general, it's just a very good day of racing from early in the morning here on the East Coast to late at night on the East Coast. So just sit in front of the TV. I know that's what I'm going to do today. But and it's going to be warm here in New York too, so it's a good day to stay inside. But we're going to look at the stakes races here on the Saturday program from the Spa. Races 2, 10, and 11. So quite a few races to look at. Let's get to it right now. The second race from Saratoga, it is the Kelso Stakes. It's a grade 3 event going for a $175,000 purse, race for 4-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 6 horses entered. The 6-horse Repo Rocks is an MTO, so 5 will head to the inner turf course, the 1,600-meter journey, or 1 mile on the inner turf course. Rails are up at 9 feet. I'm going to go take the number 3 horse here, Northern Invader, as a top selection. 3-5-2-4 for me in the superfecta. 3-5-2-4 super. Top selection of 3 horse, Northern Invader. This 4-year-old colt I collected. Cherie DeVoe trains. Jose Ortiz picks up the mount. The horse's most recent appearance came at Churchill, 1st of June, mile 16th in the grade 3 Arlington Stakes. He finished 4th by 5 lengths that day, and he showed some speed early on, taking some decent fraction. He went a little bit quick to the half, which probably cost him that day. He yielded late. Ottoman Fleet really freaked that day. Was the next start winner at Churchill closing weekend. But this horse, he ran well. Coming here to a very speed-favoring turf course, sitting very close, is a very good post draw. I think he can get away with it and run a good race here today. He got away with it from a wide post draw Keeneland 2 back on the 19th of April. A mile allowance race for $86,000, winning by 2 1/4 lengths that day. And he was flying that day, but he kept going. He quickened up nicely, and that was a very good run. Very smart ride by Jose, getting good position from that horrible post draw. Not a bad race that day with a 94 buyer, which was, the best of his life that day, tied best with his main victor. And then prior to that, the Fairground seasonal reappearance on the 16th of March, about a mile on the Stall Wilson turf course in optional 50. He finished 4th by 3/4 in length that day. He was very wide that day. He moved a little bit late, but also he just needed the race there off the bench. If you look at his races last year, Rose Maiden at Belmont on the Widener turf course nearly a year ago, just over a year ago, quite easily by over a half a dozen, where he took off clear from a tracking trip, came back to win the Secretariat, where he didn't really do a lot of running, but came back to win the Giaponti at Aqueduct in the fall quite nicely in the front end, and a decent place on dirt in the Northern Invader. But he's training well Keeneland since the last race. I'm going to give him a shot here on the ticket. I think also your second likeliest winner, if we can get the page to flip over, I think the second likeliest winner is the 5-horse Carl Spackler, a horse I'm a very big fan of for Tyler Gaffley and Chad Brown. I bet him in the poker. He didn't do a lot of running. He didn't do running at all, actually. He finished 5th by 2 3/4 lengths that day, and he was wide, and he just was flat that day. Ice Chocolat really took off clear. Quite a few of those horses are coming back in this one today and really ran decently, but this horse was just flat. He ran terrifically in the opening verse of Churchill over the mile, winning by ahead that day, where he gamed it out to the wire. A very good race off the bench. And then, he was pretty perfect last summer here at Saratoga. He won the Hall of Fame quite nicely by a tracking trip and won the Saranac closing weekend quite nicely also. He's training well. I'm going to give him a shot here back against these horses. He could definitely win here, but it's a small group of horses, so I think it's a very good race here. But to recount my selection for the second from Saratoga, now it's the grade 3 Kelso, formerly known as the Forbidden Apple. I'm going to take the 3-horse Northern Invader, give kudos to the 5-horse Carl Spackler, 3-5-2-4 super, 3-5 in the multi-race. Head over to race number 10 now from Saratoga, the 10th race. It is the Diana Stakes. It's a grade 1 event going for a $500,000 purse for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and upwards. We have a field here of, a very good field of, why is this race board sucks today. Usually I only buy the race form on Saturdays. The rest of the week I'll use my iPad or I'll print it out. But for some reason the page is actually better quality than usual for this week's racing form, I noticed, and the pages keep sticking together. It's horrible. But we have a field of 11 horses entered. 11 horses MTO. 10 will go 1,800 meters or mile and 1/8 on the inner turf course here in the Diana, which is one of my favorite races of the summer at Saratoga. It seems the last few years we've had small groups of horses contesting this race. This year we have a good 10-horse field, and I could tell you 6 out of the 10 could probably win here, so I think you want to go a little deep in the multis. But I'm going to take the 5-horse Gina Romantica as the top selection, 5-4-1-6 in the superfecta, 5-4-1-6 super, top selection of 5-horse Gina Romantica. This 5-year-old mare been into the mischief. Chad Brown trains, Manny Franco gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came a month ago here at Saratoga, a mile on the inner turf course in the Just Game, and she finished 5th by 1 3/4 lengths behind Chili Flag, who really took off, or Chill Flag, who is the stablemate to this horse, really took off clear. This horse just kind of stalked and was flat late. Just really couldn't get into it. Maybe she needed the race, but it wasn't improvement off the Jenny Wiley, but she still could have did some more improving. Back here 3rd off the bench, training a little bit better, it looks like, if you go by the workout patterns into this race than she was last time out. So maybe she's starting to heat up for the season. 2 back, she ran grade 1 Jenny Wiley at Keeneland on mile 16, 13th of April, and she finished 7th by 7 1/4 lengths that day, and she was wide. And she never got going. She just was flat that day. It wasn't her day to win. I thought she ran terrifically, though, in the Breeders' Cup at Santa Anita. A mile in the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup mile. She finished 4th by length that day. She sat back early from the inside. She swung, she had a great turn of foot late. She just missed Master of the Seas. But for a filly in the race, she ran her heart out that day, and then against the fillies in the First Lady at Keeneland over the mile, winning by a head, closing up from mid-pack with a 105 buyer. And that was one of the fastest buyers for this kind of horse last year. She really, started to heat up at the end of the season. Very good place in the Beverly D, and started off the season in the town where she just was a little bit flat. But like I said, if you just go through her form, she just takes a little bit of time to get going. When she gets up north to Saratoga, that's when she really starts to heat up. They think highly of her. They bought her in Keeneland September 2020 for just over $1 million, so that means something. But coming here, she could win. I think the 4-horse died up for Nacho Correas and Jose Ortiz could win also. Most recently, the New York Stake a month ago here over the mile 3/16 of the Melon, she freaked. She won by 1 1/4 lengths, and from a tracking trip, she really, had the turn of foot to win. She had a great trip. All around good run for this horse that day. Prior to that, she probably needed the race in the Jenny Wiley. Also, maybe a little bit too short that day over the mile 16th. She finished 3rd by 3 3/4 lengths that day, and she just never could really get going. Just flat that day. But a race in the front end, the Pegasus filly mare turf at Gulfstream was quite impressive, winning by a neck that day from vying on the front end. She held on and gamed it out to the wire. Very good run. Her races last year weren't bad at all. She had a great win in the Modesty. Great place in the New York Stakes last year. Came back to run in the Rodeo Drive where she won quite easily. Her only subpar race was that filly mare turf at Churchill at Santa Anita last fall, where she just never really got going. Also, a wide trip got to her. But coming here, great season so far. She's always a consistent horse. 7-2, I'll use her on the ticket. And I think also the 1-horse Moria for Tyler Gaffleone and Kevin Attard hasn't won since the Canadian States in September at Woodbine, where she won by 6 1/4 lengths, and she really took off clear that day. A little bit drifting, but it was nothing bad about that. She really took off clear to get the victory that day. Came back to run a month later in EP Taylor, where she just was wide and she just couldn't get into it. The ground was softer than the rated good, so maybe that had something to do with it. But on the lightning fast ground she saw at Santa Anita in the Breeders' Cup Filly Mary Turf, she finished 3rd by 1 1/4 lengths that day, and she didn't have the best trips that day. Had to bobble a check a few times, but again, she really gained a lot of ground. Coming here to Saratoga for the first time, I'm going to give her a shot on the ticket. I think she could definitely win here. But to recap my selection for a very good Diana Stakes, the 10th race from Saratoga, going to take the 5-horse Gina Romantica, give kudos to the 4-horse Dida and the 1-horse Moria, 5-4-1-6 Super, 5-4-1 in the multi-race. The 11th race to co-feature on the program now from Saratoga, it is the Sanford Stakes. It's a grade 3 event going for a $175,000 purse, race for 2-year-olds here. Field of 8 horses going 1,200 meters of 6 furlongs here in the Sanford. I'm going to take a shot with the 5-horse 3 Echoes as a top selection, 5-8-1-6 in the superfecta, 5-8-1-6 super, top selection 5-horse 3 Echoes, this 2-year-old colt by Echo Town. Steve Asmussen trains, Flavian Pratt gets the mount. Most recent outing for this horse came a month ago here in the Tremont at the Spa, 5.5 on the 6th of June, and he finished 3rd by 2 3/4 lengths that day, and he was just off the pace setters that day. They were saying some good fractions. He just couldn't get there late. He didn't quicken out of it, but he didn't quicken up either. He just kind of plodded along, study your right, really took off clear from the back of the pack to get the job done with a bit of a pace meltdown. But this horse, he kept going. I think, hopefully being more into it early on and just, flopping, just using the horse, I think this horse could, get a trip to win. I also think the 6 will really suit this horse well. I think he's going to get a little bit better, probably around a 1-turn mile. If I could have a horse right now for the Gotham at Aqueduct next March, it would be him because he looks like a good Gotham horse. But I think after a mile I wouldn't bet him. But here at 6, or like I said, maybe in the hopeful next start out at 7, that's where he's going to do his better running. But in the Tremont, he ran okay, but I just thought he wanted more ground. On debut, Churchill going 5 in late May, he really took off clear. He won by 3/4 length, and from a tracking trip, he really took off clear. He's getting a little bit more time between races now. He ran the 24th of May on debut at Churchill, came back 2.5 weeks later at Saratoga on the 6th of June. So, just had, not so much time between races. Coming here about 6 weeks or 5 weeks later, more time, better workout pounds coming into this race as of recently also. I'm going to give this horse a shot on the ticket here. I think also the 8-horse Moplex for Irad and Jeremiah Engelhart can win also. Most recently gets state breds at Aqueduct going 5.5 on the 20th of June. This horse went by 10 lengths that day, and he wasn't as impressive as Manatee that day, but he really took off clear driving on the front, and he had enough speed to win that day. Refreshing against Open Company, training well since the last race. I'm going to give him a shot here on the ticket, and also watch out for the 1-horse Mentee for Tom Pletcher, Rapoli Stables, and Johnny V. One on an Aqueduct going 5 in a main special weight in track record time. This is probably the first time he ran 5 furlongs at Aqueduct on the dirt in about 25 years, but he won by a nose that day. Johnny might have been a little bit too overconfident in the horse, and he just basically didn't give the horse the whip late in stages. Could have won by more. Colloquial nearly caught the horse, but still a very good run. But I think he had a lot left in the tank. Come back with an 88 buyer. Will he run that today? I don't think so. I think I'll probably digress just a tiny bit here today, but he's training well since the last race. He goes up with a little bit more ground. I'll give him a shot here at 6-5 on the ticket, but we are at the graveyard of favorites, so I think you want to possibly go another way. But he was impressive on debut, but you can't, with these 2-year-olds, they might run well first time out. Second time out, they don't always run that, they don't always improve. Third start out, always notice they improve. So, watch out for this one. He could definitely win, but I think you can go a few ways in this Sanford. But to recount my selection for the 11th now from Saratoga, it is the Grade 3 Sanford. Going to take the 5-horse 3 Echoes. Give kudos to the 8-horse Moplex and the 1-horse Mentee. 5-8-1-6 Super, 5-8-1 in the multi-race. So with that being said, good luck to all, and please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5. Good luck, everybody.